There we go. Good morning, everyone. It's Carpo again. Another fabulous morning in Portland. Getting up in the morning, I always have a particular question that's going through my mind. Sometimes it might be related to, sometimes it might be related to life in general. Sometimes it's more specific. Today I was thinking about profit, money, and how can we tackle this issue of, I guess we could just put it as the 1%ers, right? Or the 0.01%ers, if you want to go that far. There is 1% of the population that has half of the money, but out of that 1%, 10% of them have a majority of it. It's like 1/100th of a percent, or 1/100th, 1/1000th of a percent. Anyway, there's a lot of money out there floating around. In reality, there's no money at all. It doesn't exist. Money is, this paper fiat currency we've created, and this bunk monetary system. And I know that people are very, frustrated with the system because of what it's done to our economy. Rather, what people have done by not just going off the gold standard, but the hidden tax, the inflation rates, unnecessary markup on things so people can't afford them anymore. And meanwhile, the little guy's struggling. And so I want to take the most extreme example. The guy who's working his ass off and hurts himself at work and can't work anymore maybe, and he has to take away from the system. He has to either gain food stamps or Social Security, or he's unable to work, so he's collecting workman's comp or whatever it might be. And to those who are making the decisions and the people who they answer to, the people who have means, they're always quick to say that Americans are just sucking off the teat of the government, and that everybody's just trying to get something for free. And this is the view people have who are rich of people who are poor, that they're just trying to get through life without having to do anything at all and don't want to work. And it's a preposterous notion. We all know that. At least 99% of us know that actually, care and work. What happens is we get these mass delusions and individual delusions, that delusions of grandeur, that when you have a certain amount of money that you have earned that or somehow are owed that. For example, any one of us who doesn't have millions of dollars would think, if I had that, I'd do something good with it. And often a person who makes a lot of money has good intentions to do good things with that. I don't know if you've ever noticed, if you have a little bit of money in your pocket, it's easier to spend than if you have a lot. If you have a pile of hundreds, that you don't want to break or something, you're like, no, if I start spending now, I'll spend it all. This is the mentality that gets into, the rich, that I can't even spend a little bit because I have to hang on to it. Not always, not all rich. So the point I'm trying to make here, and the problem I'm trying to address, is we want equal rights and we want equal freedoms, and we want people to be able to live happily and have the resources they need to function. We also want to let people have the freedom that they want to do what they want and to earn as much money as they want, which is the other side of the coin. A person could look upon a billionaire with disgust and say, you have too much money, you shouldn't have made all this money, you don't deserve that much money, nobody should have that much money. And maybe that billionaire chooses to do nothing good with his money. Like, let's take the Koch brothers. What are they, trillionaires yet? They maybe do a couple good things and spend a few million here and there, but in general, these people are way too rich and have way too much money. But who are we to say that they have too much money, is my point. To be the devil's advocate, so to speak, to say that, the rich deserve to be rich if they want to be rich. Because that is a freedom of being an American, as just an American. But you can extend that around the world and say, even if in America we set laws that put a cap on income, then the rest of the world wouldn't. So it wouldn't matter. It's just like if America curbed our carbon emissions. Even if we all stopped driving in America today, it wouldn't make a difference because the rest of the world will go on driving. And there's no worldwide consensus or law that we can implement or put into place about income caps. And why should we? Should a human be born into this world and have his fellow man tell him, well, you can do anything you want in this world, but you can only make this much money, because if you make too much, then you don't deserve it. And a lot of people would say yes, that should be the case, but it's not fair to the freedoms of each individual if you're putting a cap on a rich person's income. And so it makes it really hard, So I think what we have to do is change our value system completely. Not tell people what to do. More and more laws aren't going to force people to be better people. People are going to have to see others and what comes from them being better people and wanting to share and help others. I think it's disgusting that people are billionaires and trillionaires, that there are companies that dominate everything and that are owned and ran by these presidents and CEOs that make outrageous amounts of money, that make, some of these guys make more money in a week than some of us make in a year. Some of them make more money in a day than some of us make in our lifetimes. Okay, and it's a different world. It's a different ballgame. It's beyond most of us. It's like, what would I do if I had the opportunity to have that kind of money? I have all kinds of ideas of what I might do to help or share, but I know that the mental state that arises from having that kind of money, let me put it this way, I feel sorry for people who are billionaires. I wouldn't mind having a few $1 million to play around with, but a billionaire, you have so much responsibility, so much stress, so much anxiety placed upon you, so many demands placed upon you, so many people looking at you and telling you what you should or shouldn't be doing, so many people who are mad at you because you have money, others who are mad because you took their company, others that are mad because you fired them, took their job, or downsized. Somebody always has to take the blame. The little guy can always complain about something, and I'm a little guy. So when I do sit here, I can't just say, damn the rich, we need to cap their incomes, we need to tell them how to live, because that's not how it works, So the freedom, the very freedom which brings us all this amazing, all these inventions and creations and discoveries, and why our nation is so, let me put it this way, the reason why America was such an inventive nation and such a creative and do-it-yourself type nation in the earlier, centuries, it was because America was founded on the principle of freedom for persecution of religion and the freedom to a free market to do what a person wants. And back then, people, when it was still young, it was still fresh, people said, hey, I can come out, I can create an idea, and I can make millions of dollars off of this idea. And so people would sit and they would think and create ideas. They'd come up with fantastic things. The magic word here is incentive, profit. If there's no incentive to drive a person to invent and to be creative, then it takes a lot more work for them to do so. The perfect example is to compare capitalist and socialist economies. Whereas a socialist economy may create many great things, the drive isn't always there because the recognition isn't there. A person who comes forward and says, look, I've discovered that. They say, great, get back in line. We'll take your idea and use it for our society. And the person says, well, that's great. I'd like to help my fellow man, but I want a little recognition. And then they go, wait a minute, you're wanting pride. You have pride. It goes back to the pride thing I was talking about. And they say, no, it's not arrogance, it's pride. I'm just proud of what I invented, right? I just want the world to say, hey, look, so-and-so created this. And if a person says, well, that's arrogance, then maybe it is. Maybe so be it. People want to be remembered, and that's why people put their names on things. And they haven't always earned the right to do that. For example, just a person who has a lot of money and just buys something and puts their name on it, that doesn't make it anything they've created or built up. And a lot of these really, really rich early timers, in our nation's history, had worked their asses off to get where they were. Whereas some of them didn't. Take, the Koch brothers, or, like Standard Oil, who they basically created Standard Oil, which dominated the fuel market and forced everybody else to basically take a back seat to them while they took all the oil. So here they are as multi-trillionaires with all of the oil that is from our earth, and we have to look back and go, wait a minute, new rules have to be formed about this. Okay, 100 years ago you can pump all the oil you wanted and say, yeah, it's yours, it's yours, it's yours, but now we know more about it. So we have to go backtrack and implement new rules. So the way I see it is people who built their incomes and their fortunes deserve it if they want it. The people who built their incomes off of our resources that are worldwide resources for all the people, such as oil, should be required to compensate and give that money back to the world, because oil is not owned by anybody, and we know this. Just like water and everything else, these are resources that need to be shared. Nobody needs to be being a trillionaire off of Earth's resources. So that's my opinion on it, and for what it's worth, I think that people do want to be recognized, and I think it's okay if people have money. It's just a matter of giving people the value system to know what to do with that money. So, hope that makes sense. Take care, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.